All right, so today I got Natalie here to talk a little bit more about what we did this week. Every week is a little bit different, and looking back, trying to think of what the message I would want to share from this week is. Natalie kind of had the same idea going through the types of cases. Natalie, what are your questions after this week's case load?
So it seems like we've had a lot of cases this week of kids getting in trouble, both on their phone and off their phones. Is there any specific type of like advice you have for kids and how to handle their phones?
Yeah, so as you know or may not know, I handle a lot of juvenile young people getting in trouble, and what we're seeing more and more of is people getting in trouble at school. And this is where things are starting, but it's not necessarily the only place that these things are taking place. Uh, Phones have made kids, they have the ability to go anywhere and do anything pretty much without parents finding out. And this has become problematic because, well, the laws that are in place right now don't necessarily reflect what kids are doing and whether or not those intended penalties and consequences that are on the books as our laws were really meant for 15-year-old Johnny getting in trouble for receiving a boob pic of his girlfriend Judy. So these are the types of things we're running into, and what I wanted to maybe talk to you a little about was the different practices. Now, we've spent some time in Washtenaw County, share with you about some of the experiences, the case that we have in Livingston County, as well as those in Oakland, and they're different. When we went to Oakland County, we learned about a specific program that they use there for young people like this, or people maybe even with a little bit of deeper issues, to defer the eventual conviction so it doesn't blemish the juvenile permanently for the rest of their life. I call this the scarlet lettering. And what we're concerned about are obviously felony records, criminal records, juvenile records, and most significant, sex offender reporting requirements. Now, right now, the laws that are on the books, they don't necessarily anticipate the things that are taking place, like I said. The situations that are happening now are way too common, and yet the court is not really sure what to do with them either. While certain counties like Washtenaw have specific programs where they contemplate that this young person who did this horrible thing should still not have to suffer a lifelong, detriment of a felony record or sex offender reporting. Other counties take it differently. For example, in Livingston County, they don't necessarily have a go-to deferral for these types of things. And based on the nature of each case, they may not feel it's appropriate to offer a way out or a way to avoid the collateral consequences. And this is scary because as parents, I myself having 3 young boys, not yet in that age of high school, but soon enough they will be, what do we tell our kids? And how do we help them to deal with these situations better? There's not a lot of resources out there. We've talked a lot about this, about the kids don't have the education that they need to make good informed decisions, and still their brains aren't developed in the ways they need to be to really appreciate the decisions that they make. So what I recommend that parents do are a couple basic things. When you're facing contact from the schools, from law enforcement, either involving your son or daughter, a sexually explicit image, act, or an allegation, whether that be through a phone, a social media website, or through a physical act itself at school, here's what you need to know. This is what I'm going to call the new parent response. Do not allow questioning, number one. Questioning can take place either by an administrator from a school or from a law enforcement officer. Sometimes it's referred to as school resource officers. Do not mistake a psychologist, an assistant principal, or a resource officer as being somebody who is a neutral. Because the reality is that these people are all agents of law enforcement when it comes to what happens because of that investigation. Because you do not know if your son or daughter is either responsible for doing what they say did or not, or maybe they have the wrong person, because you do not know enough information, you cannot answer any questions. That includes not being a question and answering between you and law enforcement on behalf of a child. You will not share anything that your kid has told you without consulting with the lawyer. You will not sign anything, including a request for consent to search a cell phone, computer, digital hardware, social media accounts, or anything else that may be of relevant nature to what the allegation is. Pretty much don't sign anything without getting a legal opinion first. And do not allow police to come to your house and question your son or daughter. Do not assume that bringing your son or daughter down to the police station will resolve the issue. Back to what we said before. Because you do not have all the information, because you cannot trust anyone but an attorney who is representing and advising you what to do, do not assume that cooperation or acquiescence will translate to a smooth result with no backlash. So these are the couple of points that I wanted to bring up and talk about from this week. Having spent time in Washtenaw, Oakland, and having cases in Livingston County, all kind of swirling together this week. Each county responds differently. My belief and my philosophy and the way that I advocate for my clients is that the laws on the books right now, 25 years in jail, 25 to 15, whatever years on the Sex Offender Registration Act. I mean, permanent blemishes on somebody's record as a young person. Those laws are not actually intended for the kids that are breaking them right now. Okay. And the problem is that the prosecutor's office, they don't have any other laws to work with. So that's why you need to talk to an attorney about how you can start making the law work for you. Call Kelly, Natalie. She'll be here to answer any calls that you have. I will as well. And we'll see you next time.
See ya.